Welcome to Pepside Chats, PepsiCo India's first podcast, straight from the heart. Here you skip the slides, get to know your leaders more beyond their titles. Today's guest, well, she's a storyteller who doesn't follow culture but flavors it. She's the one leading the brand who's given us iconic campaigns like Teda Hai Par Mera Hai and the recent one, Chatpate Se Sapate. She's the one responsible for putting masala and chatpatapan behind our snacks. Say hello to Asta Basin, Marketing Director for Kurkure and Doritos. Asta, first of all, it's great to have you on Pepside Chats, our first podcast series, and finally we're having you on the show.
Yeah, I'm actually very excited. And we've been trying to do this for so long. So I'm so excited we are doing it today. Thank
All
you,
right,
Amit.
let's have a lot of fun. It's been a great journey for you at PepsiCo. You joined in 2014, right? So let's rewind a bit. We all distinctly remember our first day. So how was your first day at PepsiCo? Were you nervous? Were you excited? Or did you run straight away to the cafeteria?
I think, yeah, it's been actually more than a decade now. But I think I do know that there was a lot of enthusiasm, there was a lot of excitement, there was a lot of energy. But I think what I would also say there was a sense of pride, right? Because as a child, you had admired certain brands, you had admired their work, the products, and you were now part of that company. So there was a sense of pride that you felt. And I joined in the old office. And,
Okay.
in that old office, you used to have big walls painted of those fabulous campaigns, for the Kurkure
The
Teda Hai Par
iconic
Mera
campaigns.
Hai, Ye Dil Mange More, Dar Ke Aage Jeet Hai, Ama Sutra.
Wow.
So I think each of the passage had a story to tell, right? And each of the rooms seemed like part of history because all the work that happened at PepsiCo has been pretty iconic.
Bit about purpose, right? Because I think when you do so many initiatives with the brands, how do you marry your purpose with what the brand is trying to do?
I think over time now, when you're in a company for that long time, I think it's not just work that you do. You start to attach more meaning to it. You start to attach more purpose to it. And at PepsiCo, I think one thing which really stands out for me is that we don't isolate performance and purpose in that sense. We don't see purpose as something which is an isolated, fluffy subject away from performance. We lead with purpose. So I think PepsiCo is this fabulous place where we say we give smiles with every bite, with every sip.
Yeah.
And which means that we are supporting the communities, we're working with them, whether it's agri, whether it's plastic, whether it's water conservation. And all of those subjects are close to all of our hearts. So I think that is where the purpose sort of combined, that you're not just doing work which is giving consumers new experiences and new stories for them to smile with, but you're actually impacting the community in a very positive way.
Absolutely. Of two greatest, or must say that most exciting brands. One is Kurkure, other is Doritos. And as a marketer, because you live these brands day in day out, you work in campaigns, you work on briefs. So tell me honestly, do you start wearing these brands on your sleeves? Do you start embedding them in your own personality? Are you, when you go home, do you talk like Doritos and Kurkure to your family?
Uh, well, the boring answer is no, but I don't. I think what you really do start living by is the world of Kurkure and Doritos. You have to really imagine, and you have to be so close to the consumer to really know if this brand was to be a person, how would he be? How would
Uh-huh.
she be? How would this person react? What is the kind of environment he or she would come in? So I think you start putting a pen portrait in the sense of what this brand will look like, and you start imagining that world up close, so you're able to stay consistent to that tonality over and beyond. With the work that we do. So I don't live by and become that brand, but obviously I live by and carry the world with me whenever we are working on that brand, because that I think is the core essence of being
Yeah.
able to brand build.
So talking about Kurkure, right? So Kurkure is just not a brand, right? It's a category starter, the masala obsession of the country, and it's a mirror to our quirks. Tell us, what's the influence of Kurkure on the pop culture of the country?
I think truly, I mean, if there's a brand which we feel extremely proud of amongst so many iconic brands this company has, I think it's Kurkure. And because with Kurkure, we did not just create a brand, we actually created a new category in India. We offered consumers who had choices of traditional namkeens and potato chips something else which added to their repertoire, and which was this extruded snack named
Yeah.
Kurkure. And I feel good and validated as a marketing lead today that over the years that the work that has happened with consumers play back saying that Kurkure is the original brand, and Kurkure is something that they really associate and bond with at a level which is far more emotional than just a product. And I think why we've been able to do so is that we've stayed true to the underlying consumer cultural truths. Um, Sometimes it's the brand which is ahead of the culture and starts the story. Sometimes we replay some of the cultural tensions which exist today in the society and give them a voice. And I think Kurkure does that well. To cut it short, imagine the earlier campaigns like Teda Hai Par Mera Hai.
Oh, yes.
In those years, a woman in an arranged marriage setup with the elders being able to choose and have an opinion on her own marriage was very progressive. So in a way, we were catalyst to a change even in those times. We were giving a chatpata voice to everyone to say what they really want to say. And even today, if I look at Chatpate Se Sappate, which is the recent most campaign, we've taken on the conversations on hustle at workspace.
Yeah.
Now, these are conversations which are already there happening. But to start a conversation and being a catalyst to those conversations, I think sets us very close to consumers and their realities. And that's why we're able to move or, lead the culture storytelling with the consumers. And we've seen it resonate well.
All right. No, I personally love the new campaigns. Now, moving on to consumers. Asta, we're in an age of where consumers are scrolling and skipping, and they're consuming snackable content. So, how do you reimagine branding in this digital age? And how do you think all marketers need to pivot?
I think that's a very pertinent question, and I think while there are two sets of on answers to this, and what I say might be a little controversial in some sense, but I think the challenge for marketers is all the more today in the brand building world, and I just don't mean from the point of reaching to the consumer and the medias that we used to do that, but the fact that attention spans are declining, I think sometimes also pushes marketers to claim some small wins and the short wins, right? We want to do something which will just give us immediate virality or immediate wins. And in doing so, we possibly sometimes steer away from what the brand needs or what the brand tonality should be. What is the brand world? And the brands that have stayed on, the real brand building that we talk about comes from that sort of consistency. While you can always elevate the storytelling, while you can always refresh that positioning, but there is the world that this brand lives for, and that consistency is important in brand building.
And as a veteran in this field, you have a lot of new young marketers joining PepsiCo. So, what's your message to them, and what should they be ready when they join PepsiCo?
I think my only one simple message is keep the curiosity alive.
So, Asta, so when you're not writing a brief or chasing campaigns, so what do you do to switch off?
I love music.
Okay.
So I think music is a big factor and a big thing that I do for relaxation. I also love around being nature, the greens, so a breezy walk in the garden or the park. And I think last but not the least, spending time with my daughter. She's a real stress buster. You've spoken to her.
Yes.
So she has a message for you. I'll give you later. But but yeah, I think those are the top few things I would really do.
So, Asta, you've managed so many brands, so many bold brands, so many brands which are rewarding, but also very intense, right? So, what's that one tiny, invisible, bold habit which has literally kept you sane for so many years?
I think the first is pure love for the work that I do. I think when you love what you do, you really don't feel the intensity of it. But having said that, I think one is that you have to know your stuff, right? You have to really spend time knowing what you're doing. And I think the second is being able to see what is a big thing and, the Pareto principle of staying true to what's big and what needs work versus what probably is not so critical and not so urgent. So to be able to distinct and differentiate that I think helps you.
I always wanted to do this, Asta, because this really gets the best out of me and you. So, are you ready for this fireside chat, quick response, 1 second questions?
I'm ready.
So, tell me if there's a playlist which you need to dedicate for you, what would it be?
Rock and roll.
Okay, you love rock and roll. I love it too. Okay, professional journey. One tagline for PepsiCo. What would it be? You spoke about so many iconic campaigns.
I think my favorite is Ye Dil Mange More.
Okay, everyone keeps saying this in PepsiCo. Okay, in a trend in marketing which really says, "Oh my God, how is it happening?"
The extensive use of AI.
Okay, how do you know this is the idea? This is the one.
Yeah, I think you do the base ground to, with respect to consumer need, etc., to know that you have the right space.
Okay.
But post that, it's a bit of an instinct that comes in.
All right. A very interesting question. A brand which is not yours, but you really die for it, and it can't be a PepsiCo brand.
From the
From
marketing
a marketing point of view,
I think
yes.
Nike.
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 All right. So Kurkure and Doritos walk into a party. So who will be behind the DJ and who's going to get the crowd in on the floor?
Bold Music by Doritos and Fun Party with Kurkure.
I'm imagining the fusion of bold and maybe the chatpata Kurkure music.
What a combination, no?
All right. So टेढ़ा है पर मेरा है और चटपटे से सब पटे. What's that rent-free campaign which lives in your mind?
So Rent Free is Teda Hai Par Mera Hai, but I own it with Chatpate Se Sab Pate.
Okay. One creative pitch which you said, yaar, this is too over exaggeration.
I never felt it, honestly. I think every time I see something, I see it from a lens that I want to.
Alia, Juhi Chawla, Sara Ali Khan, Pariniti, Kareena Kapoor, Akshay Kumar. Who's the odd one out?
Alia Bhatt, she's on Lays.
Okay, good one. It's time for our favorite curveball question. It's time for Dare for Better. Let's bring in the mystery box.
Okay.
So it's a mystery box. Asta, can you read it out for us?
Think of someone from your early PepsiCo days who shaped the way you lead. Now send them a voice note saying just that.
All right. So you have
It's a
1
tough
minute
one.
now. Think who you want to send a voice note to, and you have to do it live on the show. That's the curveball.
Okay. So I think my first transition into marketing and Deepika Warrior. Hi Deepika, I am on a show. It's a Pepside Chats podcast, and I'm supposed to thank somebody who really I thought shaped the way I am and I'm leading, and I could only think of you. I started my marketing journey with you, so I just wanted to thank you for being a positive, encouraging, guiding influence and mentor. Thank you. Speak to you soon.
Oh, that was very sweet. All right, before we wrap, we always ask our guests a word to the wise. You've seen the briefs, you build the brands, you've gone through the madness. But tell us that one thing which you've learned from PepsiCo, which you'd love to share with the community, especially the marketing community.
I think 2-3 things I
Okay.
would want to talk about. One, and in simple words, one is think consumer first. The second would be fearless in what you believe. And I think the third would be the power of yes. The magic happens when we start to stay open to new experiences and start with a yes.
Thank you for bringing the bold, the curious, and the chatpata to the Pepside Chats. You know, we hear a lot of stories every day, but rarely we get to hear stories said with so much of heart, passion, honesty, and flavor. And to everyone listening, whether you are shaping ideas or starting your story, keep it spicy and masaledar. Keep it smart, but most importantly, lead it by heart.